Hello everyone, Frost here. Welcome back to another classic WoW video. Previously, we talked about 7 fun items that can be used to fill up your limited vanilla bank space. The video received very good feedback, so I thought you guys enjoy this type of content. Today, we're going to discuss 8 more fun items that have their roots in the original iteration of vanilla. Without further ado, let's explore. The Blackblade of Shahram. A large charcoal massive two-handed sword, crafted entirely of dark iron and inscribed with draconic runes of power. Legend says Nefarian crafted the weapon in his human form as Victor Nefarius, using the forges of the Black Hand orcs. He crafted it especially for Drakisat. The weapon binds to its wielder's hand. More often, the wielder can invoke the Blackblade's summoning power, calling forth Shahram, a fiery destroyer who serves the wielder unconditional. Shahram is bound to the blade and cannot resist the owner's command. Still, he is not happy with this and does everything he can to break free. Unfortunately, his freedom requires the destruction of the Blackblade, a daunting task for any artifact. It drops from General Drakisat, the final boss of Upper Blackrock Spire, at an approximate 1% rate. Drakisat uses this weapon model during combat. The name of the item is inspired from the lead producer Shahram Dabiri, who is of Persian origin. When Blackblade procs, Shahram is summoned. He casts a random spell and then disappears. There are 6 different procs binded to this blade, similar to 6 Demon Bag, which makes me think that both of these items were designed by the same developer. The spells he can cast are Curse of Shahram, an AoE slow on enemies. Might of Shahram, an AoE stun on enemies for 5 seconds. Fist of Shahram, which is group haste by 25% for 8 seconds. Blessing of Shahram, group restore life and mana for 20 seconds. Will of Shahram, a self buff that will give you plus 50 stats for 20 seconds. And Flames of Shahram, flame striking enemies by 100 to 150 damage. Due to the RNG nature of this item and the lack of overall stats, it made it to this list. Now don't get me wrong, if you obtain this weapon early game, consider yourself lucky, because it's one of the best pre-raid two-hander for PvP. In dungeons, the procs will help your mana users and the group overall with the haste. It shines when you grind mobs for gold, and it definitely makes the grind more fun. Although, it will quickly get replaced by bigger and shinier swords. Thunderbrew Boot Flask. If you like a good lager, you must visit Grimbu's Thunderbrew in the Dagger Hills, directly behind Moonbrook over the hill. This dwarf is a living legend, but remember that he only shares his brew if you bring him resources to continue his work, so make sure to pack some hops in your bags. If you decide that you like the Thunderbrew lager, you might want to visit him again at level 40, when you have explored the lands a bit. If he finds you experienced enough, he might decide that you can help him with the creation of the Thunderbrew Boot Flask, but be prepared to travel a lot, as the materials needed are not easy to find, and the journey he offers is a transcontinental journey. You'll first have to acquire holy water from the top of Naga Camp and Stranglethorn Vale. The mobs in the area are level 43-45. Also, keep an eye out for the treasure chest that spawns around here. The Holy Water Spring is sometimes guarded by Lord Doodle, or whatever his name is. He's a rare spawn that drops a green when you kill him. He is not elite, so go nuts. In part 2 of the chain, you'll need to acquire 1 sack of each: barley, rye, and corn. The sack of barley is in Swamp of Sorrows, in the Fallow Sanctuary, where the Draenei Lost Ones are. The item is right next to the Lost One Chef. The sack of corn is in Tanaris at the Waste Wonder camp that is near the coast. It has 3 tents and a campfire in the middle of it. You cannot miss it. The sack of rye is in Hitterlands, in Shanda Alor, the troll town, the one with 3 altars. It's very visible on the map. There's a small hut hidden off in the mountains there, and you cannot miss the sack. Make sure to have a true silver bar before you go to turn in, because you'll need it for the follow-up quest. When you get the fourth part of this chain, you'll have to collect the Sycamore branch. Go to Feralas and look for the cursed Sycamore in the western part of Ruins of Isildian. Keep in mind you're looking for a Trent Creator. Be aware there's a level 46 elite that looks just like the cursed Sycamore. And the final part of the chain, a barrel of charred oak. Venture to Searing Gorge on the eastern side of the deep canyon. You need to be on the top portion. The tree is not down in the cauldron, it's on the edge of the cliffs above it. Complete the last part of the chain and enjoy your brand new Thunderbrew boot flask. This quest was designed for players to explore the world with their new mounts at level 40, Giddy Up and Siazaroth. Quite an interesting idea from Blizzard. But is it worth all the trouble for some fancy flames? Smokey Lighter. Item which on use will deal 125 fire damage to targets in front of the caster with a 5-minute cooldown. This is a reward from the quest The Great Fras Siabi, where you're required to venture into the Stratholme and recover Siabi's premium tobacco. The quest is named after the lead quest designer, Alex Afrasiabi, also known as Furor. As you enter Stratholme on the Scarlet side, take 2 lefts and you should reach a dead end filled with mobs. When you approach, the great Frasiabi himself shows up looking pretty rip. And of course, if you haven't cleared that area carefully first, you're in a position to get wrecked. Also, don't screw around with the post box until you're ready, as that spawns 3 elites too. After Fras is put down, everybody can loot the tobacco box for the win. The lighter isn't all that, with the exception of the fact that it doesn't get you drunk. It's graphically an effect similar to Thunderbrew Boot Flask, our previous novelty trinket, taking up space in the bank. Winterveil Disquise Kit and Snowballs. The holiday is almost as old as WoW itself. Winterveil was the first ever holiday to be implemented, just after the game launched on November 2004. Blizzard patched in the Winterveil along with the Maraudon dungeon, the option to turn off cloaks and helms, and many other changes in patch 1.2 on December 18. Given how early this holiday was added to the game, it's not surprising that there wasn't too much to it compared to today. The holiday came with a few quests, including the original short Grinchline quest. Completing the questline awarded you with one of the several crafting recipes, such as Gloves of the Great Father, the Wintersmite enchantment, or the Snowmaster 9000 schematic. Winterveil Disguise Kit was received in the mail a few days after turning in the quest, a Smoky Pastor's Thank You. The disguise turns a player into a snowman that will look around and tip his hat until you either get damaged or right-click the spell. While the disguise was cool to have, the real fun came from the Snowballs. In 2004, Snowballs had a knockback effect on your party members. This was quite awesome and way better for actual snowball fights. Putting your body on his ass with a hunk of ice out of nowhere induced a certain satisfaction. The problem was that snowballs could be used anywhere, and this was an era where casters had to drink, sometimes as often as every pool or so in a raid or a dungeon. The first time someone knocked you out of your quiet drinking moment to regen mana, it was kind of annoying but also kind of funny. The 10th time, still annoying, not funny. Players found other creative uses for the snowballs, like interrupting someone right before the end of their resurrection cast or their Hearthstone cast. Once the Alterac Valley Battleground opened for business, players soon learned that snowballs could knock their raid mates off the bridge, sometimes to their death when they took falling damage. In the meantime, a new item called Hard-Packed Snowball was added to the game for Winterveil 2005. These snowballs were still lootable from the hard-packed snowdrifts in Alterac Valley. Originally, these items packed a real punch. The knockback effect was even more dramatic than a regular snowball. Combined with the fact that you could also use them on enemies, a well-timed hard-packed volley could stop an army of Horde players from crossing the bridge. Blizzard finally hotfix nerfed the basic snowball in 2006 to remove the knockback effect, and the fun was pretty much over. Savory, Deviate, Delight. probably one of the oldest and most known consumables in WoW history. I believe that since the game was launched, millions and millions of Savory delights were sold on the auction house, resulting in millions and millions of gold made. In earlier patches such as 1.7, all effects other than Pirate and Ninja transformation were removed. And you might be, wait what? What other effects? Savory Deviate Delight also bestowed a number of other possible effects like Fake Death for 5 minutes, Cowardice for 5 seconds. Some players misuse this fear-like effect to glitch their way past closed gates such as those in Blackwing Lair, and not only. Oops, which turn you into a pile of goo for 10 seconds, and the 2-minute rapid cast buff. What remained after patch 1.7 was the Flip Out buff, which turned you into a ninja, similar to a Deviate leather armor set but with a black bandana instead of a red one. And of course the Yar Pirates that transform you into a pirate, both for 60 minutes. In Classic it might be harder to acquire this consumable, especially early game due to the recipe being rare and people having better things to do other than fishing in barrens. What makes me wonder is, will we receive this item in game pre-nerf or as the final version from 1.12? Let me hear what you think in the comments down below. Hook of the Master Angler turns you into a fish, giving water breath and increasing your movement speed, but attacking or casting while in this form breaks the effect, does not work out of water or at the water surface. To obtain this item you must win the Stranglethorn Veil Fishing Extravaganza, which is held every Sunday between 2 and 4 PM game time. The first player to catch and hand in 40 speckled tasty fish to Regal Bass Bait will complete the Master Angler quest in Booty Bay and win the tournament. Tasty fish are found in special swirling skulls which can only spawn during the hours of the competition and have a shelf life, so you cannot just keep 40 in stock and hand them next week. You can only catch the tasty fish if you land a cast inside a skull, which can take multiple casts. Set your Hearthstone in Booty Bay before the competition starts and find yourself a quiet place on the coast, without many competitors. Then try to maintain your distance from the other people fishing, don't share a school of fish unless you absolutely have to. Move in the opposite direction from the majority when your schools dry up. Carrot on a stick or other riding speed boosts might be useful. It might take a long time in order to win a fishing contest and get your Hook of the Master Angler, but what else can you do on a Sunday afternoon? Tabard of the Scarlet Crusade. In vanilla, tabards were hard to come by. Most people were stuck wearing a pink gilt tabard or none at all. To get a great tabard, you had to grind your way in battlegrounds for months in order to get exalted reputation. Some tabards were given by participating at various events, and the reason why we have the Tabard of the Scarlet Crusade in our list is an obvious one. In the northern plains of Tirisfal Glades, the Scarlet Monastery is one of the last bastions of a once great Scarlet Crusade. This is where they train the initiates in becoming great warriors. Deep in the armory of the Scarlet Monastery lies the champion Herald. Upon killing him, an army of 20 Scarlet trainees will charge, and each and every one of them will have a 1.5% chance to drop the tabard. Consider yourself lucky if you obtain it while leveling, as I heard people did even 20 plus runs at max level. Dartol's Rod of Transformation turns you into a Furbolg for 3 minutes with a 1 minute cooldown. Unlike many disguises, you can still fight while in Furbolg form, although the form is removed if you are damaged. So it's possible to Furbolg heal and Furbolg range DPS. How to get it? This item is alliance only, and you have to be at least level 18 to get the quest, though it might be a bit hard to complete at this level. It comes from a Night Elf quest chain, and the trick, as with many neat items and perks, is not to complete the chain, since doing that destroys your rod. The quest chain and all the quests in it is known as Renane's Cleansing, and all the action takes place in Ashenvale. This quest chain, unlike others, is very fun to complete, and since you don't have to travel a lot, you can finish it in no time. After you obtain the Rod of Transformation, you can do a few more steps in the quest line without destroying it if you want, but be careful not to go too far. Don't do the last quest in the chain. The disguise is pretty cool and has some fun emotes available, like kneel, sit, lay, or lie and sleep. A nice gadget to have while waiting for a party member to arrive at a dungeon, or in the downtime during a raid wipe. Unfortunately, some people weren't really thinking ahead during the leveling process and did complete this entire quest chain, thus removing forever the ability to turn into a furbolg. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, stay frosty.